We're recording.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting for DWP for February 12th. Barbara, would you please call the roll?
We have Commissioners Holloman, Noonan, and Parfrey present.
This proceeding will be shown on Channel 35. For exact broadcast times, please contact Channel 35. Agenda item 2 is report from our General Manager, Mr. Nichols.
We have no special items. We can move on to the full agenda.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or requests from the Commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Holloman. I do have a request for 2 reports, please. The first is a request on the status of energy storage efforts that the department is engaged in other than the Castaic pump storage facility. I'd like to have some background information on what we're thinking about, what we're doing. And then I would also like a report on the department's investigations into demand-side management practices and what that might look like for the department going forward in years to come.
Mr. Commissioner, I can just want to make sure I clarify that latter item. You're differentiating energy efficiency activities from demand response.
Demand response specifically, yes. We're looking at peak shaving and how we're accomplishing that at the utility.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great. Understood, Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Great. Commissioner Noonan?
Not at this time, thank you.
Great. Item 4 is public comment. Barbara, we have 1 speaker card?
Yes, we have 1 speaker for item 4, Linda Romney.
Good afternoon. As we know, March 5th, we're having an election for mayor. And as I've been sitting here for the last 4 years attending the DWP Commissioner hearing, it's been interesting to note that normally on the agenda there's at least 35 items each and every time. And of those 35 items, there has never been a reduction by this commission of even a dime on 1 item. In addition, each and every time I come up here before you, I ask that the amount be placed on the agenda. I'm noticing again it has not been placed on the agenda. I hope that the American people will be diligent in their vote and vote for somebody that has not been related to the city so that we can put an end to the corruption and get an opportunity to have somebody that represents the ratepayers. Do not elect somebody that has already had an opportunity and has failed you, as, quite frankly, this commission has done. As we know, this is not a development agency. Nevertheless, the Department of Water and Power takes the ratepayers' money and consistently spends it on billions and billions of dollars of projects for downtown Los Angeles, in which the ratepayer has absolutely no stake. Then they turn around and raise our rates on us continually. There has to be a stop to this. There has not been, because we do not have a mayor that represents the people. So I hope we take care of this, and I urge all of the American citizens to get out and vote March 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Items 5 and 6 we're going to move to the end of the agenda until President Sales arrives, which takes us to item 7. We have 1 speaker card.
Yes, for item 7, I have 1 speaker card, Linda Romney.
Again, item has to do with the amount of money for the fiber optics. And in the previous meetings, it was assigned fiber optics to Commissioner Moss for review. Again, we have a proposition here, and yet there is no amount of money that's attached thereto. When it comes to fiber optics and the money coming to the Department of Water and Power, are we competitive? It was supposedly assigned to Commissioner Moss, yet there has not been a report back. I know we talk about transparency, but where are the facts that are necessary to make an informed decision? Where do you give the people the information that they need? Why is the one item that the Department of Water and Power has control of, which is your fiber optics, are you giving away? Giving away while you turn around and consistently raise the rate for water and for electric to your ratepayer. Where is the answers? Continually, I'm asking the question. There is no response. Commissioner Moss was supposedly put in charge of it. No report, nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the commissioners require a presentation on item 7?
I do not.
Neither do I.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7 carries unanimously. Item 8, there is no speaker card. Who's presenting on 8, please?
I'll present an update. This is Mark Solachek. This contract is for providing emergency response services for hazardous materials, cleanup, and non-routine waste activities. It's a replacement of an existing contract for a 3-year period.
Questions from commissioners?
I have no questions. I move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 8 carries unanimously. Item 9, we have 2 speaker cards.
Yes, the first speaker is William Ernst.
And I did do solar energy storage 40 years ago. This is a Ponzi scheme and a stealth tax paid by the ratepayer, a.k.a. pile of money, POM. Several similar carbon cap and trade schemes have been abandoned, failed, or even been emptied into state coffers. European carbon credits have gone to nearly zero. California government is raiding the $500 million collected as we speak. Northeast states raided the RGGI fund. These schemes are collapsing as fast as they're being deployed. Meanwhile, LA is already on a path, rates are already on a path to doubling. DWP is required to track NOx, SO2, particulates, CO, CO2 separately for each facility. Some requirements supersede very recent prior SO2 requirements. There's apparently no mention of penalties in any of the documents. CARB CO2 rules are apparently preliminary. Utilities may be unable to trade power effectively. Yet the LADWP ratepayer, POM, may pay billions and the city has no financial obligation to it. And somehow RECs with unique serial numbers will be traded like RBOB gasoline. Good luck on putting serial numbers on electricity which cannot be stored or dyed like gasoline. Associated documents do not seem to clearly differentiate between CO2 and elemental carbon. To significantly reduce CO2 emissions, tax will have to be $1 a kilogram carbon. This represents between 3 and 12 cents a kilowatt hour depending on the fraction bought by utilities. Vote no on this monster before it destroys the economy, the environment, and electricity supply.
Okay, the next speaker is Linda Romney.
I'm very thankful that we have a gentleman that's very articulate regarding this matter. The fact is that this proposal is not fair and equitable. And the bottom line is that it will lead to only one thing, and that is additional electric ratepayer increases. We've already seen the ratepayer electric going up as of 11%, another 11% following that, and on and on and on. This is not transparent, it's not fair, and it's not equitable. I urge that you vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Presentation on 9, please.
I'll give a short update, and then Aaron will cover more from the power side. The purpose of this resolution is to request the City Council to adopt an ordinance to allow LADWP to purchase and sell various compliance instruments. They include environmental emission credits and renewable energy credits. So it's specifically for programs that we need to comply with on a federal, state, and local level.
Just operationally, we've discussed this on our policy, and this board has adopted the stacking order that we have as far as acquiring renewables. By law, we have those 3 distinct buckets, and this rec fits into one of those buckets that we use for true-up for any operational, transmission restrictions or shortfalls that we might have, or even access recs that we might trade in that true-up period. So from a policy perspective, that gives us the flexibility to reach the goals by law, that we have to reach without really having the restriction on our system to do uneconomical purchases or put the system at risk, to comply with those requirements. So this gives us additional flexibility, and it's not a long-term policy that we want to use, but we want to have the flexibility to true up as we go through these compliance periods.
Thank you. Questions?
So, Aram, could you tell us if we do not move ahead with creating a policy related to allowing the department to trade in renewable energy credits, does the department stand to bear a financial burden from that? In other words, if we don't do this, are we at risk to losing money and then passing those added costs on to ratepayers?
Without having the specifics, there's always a chance that we would be caught into a situation where we don't have this tool available for us to exercise, and it could translate into an uneconomical action that we might take. This gives us that flexibility to make sure that we have these different tools that we could use to make sure the system is economical overall, and that we meet those targets in a way that makes sense for us.
So we stand at risk for losing some money if we don't have renewable energy credits to trade with?
I would say in general, this gives us the flexibility to reduce the risk. The risk is always there. This gives us means for us to react to those risks.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Noonan?
I don't have any questions.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of President Sales. Do I have a motion on this item?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
9 carries unanimously. All right, so we moved items 5 and 6 to the end of the agenda, which takes us to 5, which is the approval of the minutes for October 4th and October 16th. I was not present at either meeting. Looks like we have Parfray, Sales, and Noonan for the 4th, and Sales, Parfray for the 16th, so we can actually move both of those.
Move the item.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The minutes are approved. And then item 6, a special resolution for Glenn Singley. I'd like for the president to take over here and handle that resolution for us.
Sure.
So I thought maybe I'd start out with a little biographical information about Glenn for anybody that wants to know Glenn. He's right here. If you don't know him, and his wife Susan is right with him.
We actually all know Glenn. So
Maybe someone in the audience.
Probably most of the audience does as well, I think.
For the TV viewing audience at home. Glenn was born and raised in Sacramento, California. He was a hard-working guy. He worked several summer jobs during his high school and college days, including picking pineapple in Lanai, Hawaii, and doing roofing work and garage door installations. He served on a mission for his church between 1974 and 76 in Paris, France, and I'm told he's quite fluent in the French language, although he's declined to give me a demonstration, but I'll take his word for it. Upon his return, he attended Brigham Young University from 1976 to 1981, and while at BYU, Glenn was on the social dance team, and I believe that's where he met Susan. Glenn received his Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from BYU in April 1980 and his Master's of Engineering in Civil Engineering with an emphasis on water resources and sanitary engineering in June 1981. And in addition, he earned his MBA in 2001. His career at DWP started on July 1st, 1981 as a civil engineering assistant in our trunk line section with the large pipeline design. He soon promoted to civil engineering associate and served as the supervisor of the Water Resource Management Group between 1984 and 1986, where he coordinated water conservation activities and environmental document preparation. He also supervised in the trunk line group, overseeing the preparation of large diameter pipeline designs, plans, and specifications and cost estimates between 1986 and 1988. Glenn was promoted to Waterworks Engineer in March 1989 in the Aqueduct Division's Southern District Engineering Group, and he coordinated LADWP's work with the State Water Resources Control Board and various interest groups to address the public trust balancing issues involving water exports from the Mono Basin. In 1991, Glenn moved to Bishop, California to serve as the Northern District Engineer. Between 1991 and 1999, Glenn was responsible for maintaining and operating the Los Angeles Aqueduct and managing over 300,000 acres of property in Inyo and Mono counties. While Glenn was up in Bishop in 1992, he was promoted to Senior Waterworks Engineer. And in 1999, Glenn was promoted to Managing Water Utility Engineer as the Director of Engineering and Technical Service, and hence moving back to Los Angeles. His professional affiliations include being a registered civil engineer in the state of California. He's a member of the American Waterworks Association and the National Park Service Manzanar Advisory Commission. He's been a member and president of the board of directors for the Western Council of Construction Consumers since 2000. He's also a nationally recognized expert in water utility capital program management and served on the San Francisco PUC's Independent Review Commission, which recently reviewed the construction-related aspects of its water system multi-billion-dollar improvement program. His personal interests include photography, dance, piano, saxophone, and the fiddle. And if you were at the Water Employees Club Christmas event, he had a chance to play the Grinch on the ukulele. It was quite a production. He's currently a Scoutmaster for the Boy Scout Troop 585 in Canyon Country. Susan and Glenn have 5 children and 12, is it still soon to be 14 grandchildren. Have to keep up on the count because they need one of those electronic clocks, that keeps turning around. So with that, I'd like to introduce Glenn singing. Come on up, Glenn.
Why don't you say a few words?
Okay. Well, I really appreciate this, and I just cherish my 31 years at the department. I've heard lots of these types of addresses over the years, and there's a common theme. I came out of school, getting this notice that I had an opportunity to work for the Department of Water and Power, and the first thought is, well, I don't have any family here in Southern California, but this was a great job offer, so I'll take this and maybe for a couple of years, and then I'll go out and be a consultant and do some other work. But coming to the department affords just so many opportunities that as soon as I got here and figured out and found out the number of items and things that I could go into and experiences that I could have, it was soon apparent that I really wanted to stay and had a great experience in learning, just continually learning more about the profession and just the intricacies of the city and the Department of Water and Power. Always great opportunities, and it's a great option for anybody coming out of school or wherever to come to work for the Department of Water and Power. Very professional people, wonderful to work with so many boards and general managers and people that have stayed, and we've developed strong relationships over the years. It's just a great place to work and a great area to live in, and so we've been very proud of being here in Los Angeles and being part of this family. Keeping very busy, it's a little strange thinking about not coming into work every day. The weekend was kind of a normal weekend, and got to Sunday night and thinking, I just automatically start preparing to get up and get into the van pool for Monday morning and thinking that a big grin comes up and says, I guess I don't really have to do that. So that is kind of nice, but keeping busy, lots of things to do. We are planning to go, Susan and I are planning to do some additional missionary work for our church, and that'll be a year and a half. We don't know where yet, but we'll be applying for that soon. So lots of things on the agenda, and I appreciate all of your support over the years and been before the board on several occasions, and it's been tough at times, but always with good intentions from the board and a real concern for doing what's right for the city of Los Angeles. So I appreciate all of that, and thank you all for some great experience and opportunity to serve here. Thank you.
Comments from commissioners?
Congratulations and thank you very much.
Sharon, I'd like to thank you for sharing your husband with us for such a long period of time. I think we all know that commissions come and go and general managers come and go, but what makes this place special, and my father worked here over 30 years, are the people who stay here for long periods of time and dedicate their lives basically to this wonderful organization. And Glenn is certainly that kind of person. I will tell you, it was always a pleasure when he would come before the board. He would have his points of view, he would answer your questions, and he always seemed to have kind of the appropriate demeanor, which goes a long way in terms of the way this board reacts to you. So thank you so much for your service. I tell you what I was most impressed by was when you were on the social dance team. I thought was very cool, and I hope you continue to do that in your retirement. So best of luck. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you so much.
Photo?
We have the
The reso's behind you there.
Oh, we have pictures, of course. Sharon, please join him. He needs his dance partner.
Okay, here's the first one. Big smile, everyone. That's good. Good. It's very nice. Here we go again. Good. Big smile. Okay. Here we go again. Here we go. One last one. Very good. Big smile. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck to both.
Thank you.
No, that's all right.
All right, that's great. This takes us to item 10, which are filed items. Do any of the commissioners have comments or questions regarding the filed items? Commissioner Parfrey?
No, I do not. Thank you.
So they are deemed filed. 11 are management reports. We have a presentation on the Customer Information System Connection Project Update. Please come forth. Something we've been anticipating.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
We have been anticipating giving you this presentation as well. Myself, Sharon Grove, the Assistant General Manager of the Customer Service Division, and Matt Lamp, our Chief Information Officer, wanted to give you a brief update so that we'd have time for you, to be able to ask questions and we can answer them as needed. So I'm going to start by turning this on. What's really important about this particular project, and I wanted just to make note that it's not one specific system, it's many, many different systems. And we've sort of coined the term SysCon to represent all of those different systems. But the middle of this system is an Oracle-based customer information system that we call CC&B. It's an industry term, the Customer Care and Billing System. And that's what SysCon represents. We also have attached it onto many, many systems, which Matt will go into, including mobile workforce management, meter data management, and water outage management systems. So there's many different systems in this project, but kind of the center stage here is this customer care and billing system. What I wanted to really point out is that we've tried to, again, be very consistent in our message that we're trying to create a more customer-focused and customer-centric experience at DWP. And to that end, when I came on board, the SysCon objectives were well established, and I was very pleased that they aligned really very well with what we're trying to do strategically at the DWP. The scope, schedule, and budget of the project is tracking appropriately. Again, I was describing the scope, which are many systems, and including main subsystems and then 16 smaller systems. And so they're all going to be attached, which is, of course, why there's some complexity and why it's taken us a long time to work on this. But the beauty of this is that right now the customer information system is a legacy-based system, so it's a kind of a custom-built system. And buying an off-the-shelf system and then having to attach everything to it creates an organization that really has to work together more smoothly and effectively, and by doing that, it gives the customer a more consistent and smooth experience with the department. Our testing and training are well underway. We are still tracking towards an April go-live, weekend. What we really, I'm going to purposely be very forthright and vague on the date, because a system that's this complex, it's very hard to just, we can put a line in the sand, which we've done for April, but we can't put a line in the asphalt, I like to call it, until we get a few more results. We've got a lot of testing data now. We've got a lot of people have been, many people have been trained already, and we're going to have what we call a dress rehearsal that Matt's going to go into a little bit, but this full-blown dress rehearsal in March will be able to give us a real indication of when we can really turn this on for good. So even though I'm being a bit vague about it, it's very purposeful, because with these kinds of systems, it's very hard to really just point your finger at a specific date on the calendar and be confident that that's really the date you're going to go live. And then the budget for the project, we're still tracking appropriately to budget for these, the 5 Point Partners, which is our QA contractor, and for the PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is our integrator.
Okay. So this project really...
Sorry, that was just the calendar. Sorry, that's just for your reference. That's the calendar of what we've done to date. Sorry, Matt.
So this project is really about making 29 systems in DWP work together. So inside CC&B, there are things we can do called configurations. Right? So we can configure rates. We can have a lot of ability, much more so than we ever had in the old system, where everything we wanted to do really required somebody writing custom code. Lots and lots of dials and knobs and buttons inside CC&B to tune it to our business rules, to our business processes. Clearly, to do that, first you have to really understand what your business processes are, and you have to clean up some of the ones that you know have not worked very well for you. So that's some of that early part of that schedule you saw. Then you have to put in these configurations, and then you have to test them. And that's where we are today. But in addition to configurations, we also have enhancements. And we've been very careful in doing enhancements, that we're doing these additions within the structures Oracle sets aside for enhancing the system without doing custom code. And the reason that's important is as versions roll out, if you stay within those rules, your enhancement should be able to move to the new version without a lot of work. If you write custom code, there's no guarantee that that won't totally break when you get to the next generation. So we've been very careful, and I think we have approximately 40-some specific enhancements that we're tracking and testing. And then we have interfaces. And interfaces is about passing information between these various systems. So if you think about the three core systems here, meter data management is about taking particularly the automated meters data in where you have interval data. It's a special thing to be able to handle those very, very large volumes of data. Mobile workforce management is basically to manage all the field services associated with customer care. So high bill complaint, or you need an investigation on. Potential theft issues that you need investigations on. A lot of meter changes may go through if they're done, where they're done by the customer service folks come through there. Your general meter route, basic meter reading, is not handled through MWM. Okay? There's another application, one of those special pieces we've been talking about, the little minor subsystems, that's really a major would be a major project in and of itself, because we move from sort of an old custom-coded way of fiddling with the data to something now that's GIS-based. So that means first you have to import your base maps. You have to align how you have things addressed with how the base maps have them addressed. One little problem we had is nobody has a good alley layer for the city, because some alleys really, they're plotted, but they're not there, and others are really there, and some you can really go down and some you can't. So we've had to make some adjustments for those sorts of things. That's just in trying to adapt this little piece of extra software to help us manage optimizing meter reading routes. Okay? Water trouble. In the old system, we had hard-coded in the 90s a way of sort of providing some intelligence to support Jim's water trouble people as they got a series of calls to try to triangulate to what the problem is. Now in electric, that's fairly straightforward because it's pretty much a tree and a branch. And if you know sort of where the split points are in the branch and you know where the calls are, those systems are very good at helping you identify the problem. Water is much more complicated. We have pressure zones. We have hydrants that can cause a problem. We have some things that do have downstream effects. So if you do work and you flush a pipe, you might see some cloudiness downstream that we'll get calls on. So in doing this, we found someone, the one company in the world, which we talked about when you approved their contract, for a water trouble system. And so we not only do we have to interface that, but we have to bring it up as a whole application. And again, that one's very GIS integrated, and so we're bringing that one up. We have a lot of data that we're passing to try to improve the customer experience. We all know, you've all heard about problems with delayed bills. And we know that part of the problem with delayed bills has been meter change-outs that never make it to the billing system for one reason or another. And in the old world, that was a lot of manual passing of information. And if somebody didn't close the work order, then it didn't get on the report. If it didn't get on the report, it didn't get passed to somebody else to enter the new data into the other system. We're automating a lot of those with some status information sort of in the intermediate point. So not only do we know if the meter's been changed, but if there's been a request for a change, sort of where it is in the assignment process, not in here, but in Aram's work management system that manages the staff that are doing that work. That all takes a lot of interface work. So these three things seem fairly straightforward, but they are enormously complex. And we are in the process, pretty much development is all done. There are a couple interfaces that when they went to do, and between the IVR and the system, we found we didn't quite have the business process was missing something. So we had to redo some look at that, which meant the functional design was a little late, which meant the technical design was a little late, which means we don't see the interface quite as fast as we want. We have plenty to test, and we are testing away. I think right now, sort of and we have a very detailed system for tracking every requirement, to what test suite looks at that requirement, to what individual test that requirement, and whether they've passed or not. And when you start looking at the total of those test suites, you're literally, we're up, I think at one point we were looking at 1,100 of those to track, and track them individually. If they're defects, who's got the defect, when do we expect it back in, how are we packaging those fixes into versions, because every time you launch a new version, you have to make sure it didn't break anything else, so you have some retesting to do. We're deep in that process, and essentially where we are right now is grinding through that. And the key answer about that Sharon was referring to about when do you fix the date? You fix the date when when you're pretty well sure you've got that testing piece, what we call integration testing, gives you end-to-end data, in good shape. Because once you're done there, you still have some other things to test. You have to test performance. You have to test sort of a day in the life to make sure while each process works fine, are they connecting right? Do people understand how to make the right moves with them? You have to test security. There's both security inside the application, which means there's some things I should be able to do and a lot of things I shouldn't be able to do. Can I do all the things I'm supposed to, and can I not do any of the things I'm not supposed to, which are a different set than Sharon will have. And if you think about this 1,600 people who touch this system, there are a lot of roles. We have to test those. We also want to test because some pieces of this end up exposed to the web, right? So people can see their balances and their consumption and their bills, to make sure that those pieces we put out on the web are very solid in terms of a lot of the known exploits that go on there. So we basically run our own penetration testing against that application before we turn it loose to the public.
Can you just expound on that for a second? Is the new system running concurrently with live data with the old today?
No.
It's
no.
not.
The new system is entirely isolated from the real world at this point. Okay, and that's really what when we talk about go live, and we'll talk about that in a second about the steps that lead up to it. That's really where you shut off the old system. You can do a lot of data conversion.
Right.
You do a bunch of manual cleanups because there's some things you can't automate in terms of the data conversion. You do some additional last-minute tests just to make sure everything's there, that the financials balance, that is what you thought you were owed in the old system and what payments you received match what's shown in the converted data, and then you pull the switch.
And the plan is for that to happen over a weekend. So
over a long weekend.
Over a long weekend.
And right now it's sort of set for looking at 3 days based on some of the stuff we saw when we did our very first dress rehearsal of conversion. It may be something that makes much more sense to do to take 4 days to do.
And once you do the data conversion and you move to the new system and something breaks, is it too late to go back to the old system?
That's why you do lots of testing. Usually you will have some form of fallback. But you really want to be sure, and this is what we say, one of the messages we've been giving our team, is we're driving to the end of April, but we are not driving over a cliff to make the end of April. We are making sure the testing is very solid and very thorough, because if during that weekend you see some things that aren't right, you can go back. You can cut it and just keep going. If you bring up the new system and you run for a week or two, it's almost impossible to go back, right? So you have to have a backup plan. You have to have some things that you're doing. One of the things we want to be doing in that period after we finish our integration testing is do some parallel testing. So we're taking the same feed, meter reads, etc., and running it into the new system as well as the old system and making sure that the billing files that come out total up the same, that they match very well. That's part of the job we have to do, and we don't want to compress that time that's needed to make sure that we hit exactly the date we've been looking for. So to make that, you really have to think of the cutover as a process. So we've been doing mock conversions now for a number of months, where we take the data in the old system and we convert it. And we have done a lot of things to cleanse data and make sure things are right. We still find today that, especially as we're trying to interface to other systems, that we have some data things that we have to go back and either tweak the conversion programs or do a little more cleansing in, because it's not that they show up as a problem in CC&B, but when we then take the data converted out of CC&B and move it to water trouble, that the way water trouble analyzes things, it says, by the way, you've got these kind of duplicate meters, or you've got this thing showing up in a couple places, and therefore, and that could be a problem for us. Go back, you should go back and look at your conversion programs and make sure you pick all that stuff up, or as much of it as you can. So we've been working with Aaron's folks about open work orders that in the work order management system they may not really care about. But if they're open and we're trying to set things up so that we have a flow of information on those work orders, and they're really dead work orders, we ought to get them closed. So they're doing a yeoman's job there. Jim's shop, we're doing a lot of work with the people around meters and services, and the matching of meters and services and addresses and their GIS maps. So all that work is going on to try to give us the strongest informational foundation we can, and to really make sure when we're done with this, we're very clear as to what the source of truth is for certain types of information in the systems. Because today, unfortunately, because the way systems built up sort of in silos away from each other, that's not the case. That's really not the case. So a lot of this is balancing information and doing cleansing. Dress rehearsal. So dress rehearsal is really about practicing what that 3 or 4 days looks like, right? Shut down the system, run a backup, run the first conversion. First conversion brings all this data into CC&B. CC&B takes all the old account numbers and assigns new account numbers. Well, every other system that has to talk to us needs to know those new account numbers. So then you have to take that data and migrate it over at that time to like the new water trouble system, move it into WMIS where we've created space for it there, move it to electric OMS. Okay, practice that. Make sure we understand the balancing reports. Do things seem to balance? Can we run bill calc? Run some sample bills. All those things, are there some things we need to clean up? We know there's some work orders in the old system on the customer service side that have to be managed by mobile workforce management. You can't just convert those. Some of those have to be manually entered. How much time does that take? That's what dress rehearsal's about. Do we have all the detailed instructions? Do we have the monitoring in place? We have one scheduled in March. We're considering whether we will need another one in April to practice and making sure we know exactly how this works. And then finally, you hit the go-live weekend. And whether that's 3 or 4 days is to be determined. But basically, people are here essentially 24 hours a day straight through those 4 days to make sure all the conversions happen, the manual things happen, the final testing happens, and you're ready to go live. That's what we still have to do. And we're already practicing, we're already detailing that as we go through the process.
Mr. Barford?
Yeah, may I ask, what is the oldest software that we have that's operational right now?
Probably CIS. That goes back to 1974.
1974.
1974.
So we have 39-year-old software.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to, shine a bright light on that. I mean, to highlight that, because this is a big thing we're about to do. This is monumental, and I think this is going to give management a lot more ability to actually do supervision, to be much more engaged with employees. It's going to give perhaps not this board, but the next board of Water and Power Commissioners and the general manager many more policy tools to use in terms of, for example, tiered rates, or whether it's monthly billing, or whether it's getting specific messages to specific customers. This is a big thing. And so I understand that we've made a run at trying to replace the old COBOL system in the past. We haven't gotten there. Three tries. So this is a big thing. And so I just want you to know, and I hope my fellow commissioners agree with me, that we've allocated a lot of resources to this transition, and we want this to be really successful. So as you're coming into this moment of integration, I want to be kept informed. I want to be able to use whatever authority that we have to ensure that the transition happens smoothly and successfully, and that we want to let the general manager know, at least I do, that we're here to support this transition and to see that it actually happens this time. So, because of all the things that we may have been doing over the last few years, and there's some very big things, this is one of those foundational things that will affect the operations of the department for decades to come. And just want to thank you for your hard work, but also I think we need your candor. We need to know where you might need some help. And I think that this board would be very open to entertaining additional assistance if you need it.
Well, we will be back. I mean, we are, as we go through this, the bottom line is this is complex and difficult, and it's absolutely necessary at this point in time. 5 years ago when I first came here, one of the things the board asked me for was a strategic agenda for IT. And normally, under normal circumstances, I've said, looking at what we had to do, we should replace sort of the core financials and HR, the ERP piece first. Here, there's no question we had to do this one first. And, it is a long journey. We've had tremendous engagement from employees. We have people from across the department devoting a huge amount of time and effort to trying to get this right. And that's been a very positive experience. I think we've seen a lot of improvement in sort of working relationships between groups that really didn't see each other or talk to each other much, or understand how what they did ultimately might affect the customer as it meandered through the processes. We've done a lot with training. We have over 100 employees who are very directly involved in the project in terms of most of their time. When we get through and go live, then we have a stabilization period. We will find some things that we need to adjust. We need to, there's some, you never go live with everything perfect. You prioritize defects, and you don't go live with any high priority defects, but you'll have some lower ones. And you'll have workarounds around those, and then you want to get those fixed so you don't have to keep employing workarounds. You want to get employees fully acclimated so that their speed with the system goes up. We want to refine some of the billing process through configuration adjustments. We have some collection processes that we have a lot of abilities to tune now in ways we didn't before. Internal credit scores of how they're paying the department. So people who have maintained a high credit score with us, if they're late, may get just an email or a text message. Somebody else who's had more things may get a different message, right, that it's more severe. And we need to take advantage of some of those additional automation capabilities, and we'll do that through the stability period, stabilization period. And then there's some things we have on the plate that we want to do. We want to bring up monthly billing, but we want to get through at least making sure the basics, right? That our meter to cash process, which this system more than anything else manages, is stable, and we're managing it well before we make those changes.
Well, and this is just a suggestion, but perhaps if the system rolls out and things are moving successfully, I would suggest that perhaps the mayor at some point may want to participate in some kind of a press event, because I actually think this is an epoch-changing development, and I think that the mayor's office should be part of that. So perhaps in May or June, that might be appropriate.
I'd like to actually add, if I could, on Mr. Parfrey's points, because there are so many things that we are doing and seeking to do that we change that we're inhibited by right now as we try to work on our rebates for our solar and the bills that we put out that we're doing them all by hand right now, and it's convoluted, and the information that we give out is, I know is at times almost indecipherable because of what we have to go through on that process. We are ramping up our energy efficiency program with customers and trying to be able to get that intake information with them. Who is signed up for what? Where does this work? Meter replacements, new business activities and new meters, the trouble desk that we deal in both the water and the power side. And then probably more importantly, most importantly, just day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, our customer service reps are dealing with incomplete and aged information that they have when a customer calls up from them right now. And to be able to have interactive information that goes all the way down the line that allows them to pull something up and know that they've got the most recent and complete information will make calls faster. It'll reduce the number of hands and handoffs that you get to touch this. These are many, many things that, well, it's not going to change everything overnight. It's going to change things pretty quickly. And I think it will change the face of DWP to our customers.
Great. Other questions or comments from commissioners? Job well done. Thank you. 11B is the RPS project update. Any questions or comments from commissioners on that item? If not, we'll deem that filed, and takes us to agenda item 12, which is closed session, and we'll have our admonition from our city attorney.
In accordance with Government Code Section 54957.1, we'll now recess into closed session and report any final actions taken therein.
Thank you.
And we'll do closed session over there since we're still open over here.